everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Nanea and you are here because you're worth it. I'm a personal trainer and health coach that focuses on supporting women who are looking to jump back into health and wellness, quit the yo-yo dieting, and not gain the weight back. So today's topic is going to be all about how I manage to get enough vegetables in my day. And not only just enough, but also to enjoy the vegetables that I'm having and to make sure that I'm having them throughout the day. I will share my tips with you in this video. All right, so first I want to share with you that I try to focus on what I want to add in or what I want to start doing instead of focusing as much on what I want to stop doing or what I want to take out. It just helps me focus on health from a point of view of abundance and a perspective that helps me think about the positive and bring light to the scenario or maybe a challenge that I'm in during that time, right? If I'm having a challenging time with something. So for example, if I'm looking to have more protein, I'm focusing on adding in nuts and seeds, and I'm focusing on adding in beans and chickpeas are my favorite of those. I can add them into anything, add some hummus to anything. I focus in on greens that have protein in them and things like that, instead of focusing on, okay, well, what do I need to take off my plate so I can make some room for protein, right? So that's just an example, but in this video, I'll talk a lot about that perspective because when I think about how can I add in more vegetables in my day or how can I make this easier on myself, I think about what I can add to any dish or what I can add to any meal or something that I'm going to be even drinking that day in order to make sure that I'm getting what I need. So this might be useful for you, and I encourage you to maybe consider that mindset as you're thinking about making some changes to your health journey. So for me, one of the things I love to do, of course, is to start with vegetables. I think many of us kind of underplay the importance of being able to eat a variety even for breakfast. It's really important in the morning to be able to get what you need into your system and to focus on having some good meals right away. It gets you off to the right start. It helps our brains recognize, gosh, I'm doing really well today, and be proud of ourselves and make good decisions early on. So that's one of the things I love to do. In the morning, I'll have broccoli. I'll have steamed broccoli. I'll have sauteed broccoli. In the morning, I'll eat sweet potatoes. And in the morning, I'll eat all sorts of mushrooms and things like that. I make lunch meals and eat them in the morning all the time. And the reason for that is because I recognized at some point that, the breakfast foods that we maybe consider in certain cultures as breakfast foods are not breakfast foods around the world, and they're not specific to the human body needing that first thing in the morning, right? So if that's something that you've been struggling with, how do I get my breakfast meals to feel, full of vegetables or full of the right maybe plate organization that I want, a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of carbs, then consider that your breakfast does not need to feel different necessarily than what your lunch might look like or your dinner might look like. It's simply the first meal you're having when you're breaking fast. Another aspect of that is if you're choosing to eat at different times in the day. Maybe you don't eat right when you wake up. Maybe you're doing something similar to intermittent fasting where you're eating a little bit later in the day. Lunch might be your first meal. So on those occasions you've done that, and you can consider that sitting down to a plate of broccoli in the morning, now deliciously prepared with spices and made into something you love, is okay and a great way to start off your day. I highly recommend that. Now, if you do want to go the breakfast kind of route that feels maybe more traditional, then adding greens to your smoothie is obviously a fantastic way to get started. Peanut butter to your smoothie or any nut butter will add with protein as well. That helps you to feel satiated and to tell your body that it's time to kind of calm down. That helps you feel satiated, and it's a great addition to smoothies as well as greens. Just pack those full of greens. It's fantastic. And if you're looking for yourself to be able to absorb your iron better, then make sure you're adding some vitamin C. So that can be through orange juice or lemons. That helps your body absorb the iron better. So those are a lot of different tricks. So for example, you want your smoothie that has a lot of spinach in it to also have some orange juice, and it's actually a fantastic combination, especially if you throw in a banana and you add in that peanut butter. It tastes delicious. It's an odd thing, but try it sometime. So that's one of the things I always do. Another thing that I make sure to do is to meal prep. Now, I will always talk about this because it changes the game. There is so much about what I do now and how I eat that I could not do in a day's time and with the requirements that I have for my schedule if I didn't meal prep in advance. So having that broccoli ready, having those sweet potatoes already cooked and prepared allows me to be able to eat those in the morning and grab them out of the fridge and have those as breakfast, but also throughout the day. So meal prepping is critical to me throughout the day if I'm wanting to add vegetables because they're already made. So what I do is I always remind myself to first grab the vegetables from my plate and then continue to add around that or decide what my meal will be based on that. So that kind of brings me to my third tip here, which is to build your plate around the vegetables as much as you can. So in a lot of cultures, we think of the meat first or maybe even the grains first, but I kind of changed the way I started thinking about it. I said, first I'm going to think about what my vegetables are going to be in. It should be multiple vegetables, hopefully, on your meal. And then I'm going to build around that. What do I want to accompany that? And so then you also start to think about the other aspects of your meal or your plate being a little bit less or maybe diminished in comparison to your vegetables, which would be great, right? If we can get more vegetables into our plate by putting that on the plate first, knowing, we're going to have this great sauteed veggie compilation of sauteed spinach and onions and mushrooms and some jalapenos in there and some tomatoes and throw some beans on that. Oh, delicious. And then we say, okay, well, what do I want to add to that? Maybe you do want to add some chicken. Maybe you want to add some tofu that you already have prepared. Maybe you want to add something on the side like a quinoa or some kind of a rice or maybe a sweet potato on the side for that to complete your plate. That sounds delicious right now. But that is one of the tricks that I use. I just think of the vegetables first, right? The other trick that I love to use is when I do prepare things in advance, if I'm doing baked goods or things like that, I try to think of how can I sneak in some vegetables into this mix that maybe I won't even taste or the kids won't even taste, but it needs to be included in the ingredients. So a lot of times I'm thinking about fiber and adding in whole wheat or whole grain to the meals or to the baked goods that I'm making. That helps so much with that digestion and for the kids. But also you can add in shaved zucchini and small diced up carrots into a lot of muffins and dishes and baked goods that you make, and they barely ever notice, which is fine, but also for you, that you're getting the goods and the yummy, delicious food. Now, I do recommend over time making sure that you do share with your kids that there are squash or zucchini or carrots in that food that tastes so good to them, because they will understand that they can equate those things with deliciousness, which I hope that, every child understands the joy and the power behind vegetables on their plate. So that's important to me as well. But so far I've spoken about a few of the ways that I add in vegetables. I want to hear from you guys. So what do you do to make sure that you get vegetables in a day? Do you make sure it's always in your dinner meal? Do you always have it at lunch, maybe through a salad or something like that? Are you someone who adds it to your smoothies? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you all. Okay, one other thing that I do every single day to make sure that I get vegetables in and that I'm enjoying them is to spice my vegetables. So for me, I simply can't eat boiled Brussels sprouts. I can't eat boiled carrots. It just doesn't taste great to me. For me, roasting Brussels sprouts, roasting carrots, or sauteing them on the stove where they still have a little bit of crunch, and I throw different sauces on them and spices on them. The other day I made a jerk chicken seasoning on these roasted heirloom carrots. Oh, it was delicious. Absolutely have to try it if you haven't yet. It is surprising what kind of spicy things you can add to your everyday vegetables that you may have grown up eating a certain way, and it changes how you feel about them. And that's all you have to do also. So instead of always having to think about, okay, how can I turn this carrot into something else? I often am just thinking about what seasoning haven't I had on my carrots lately, and I'll do it that way. And I'll roast it versus broil it versus put it on top of the oven or the stove top, and it changes how it tastes, and it's delicious. And yes, absolutely. So that's a great way to add in vegetables, is to make sure that you are spicing them correctly so that you are experiencing different flavors as you're eating your vegetables throughout the day. So definitely try to add in vegetables to each of your meals. Try to add in vegetables in your breakfast. It's a great tip and technique that has really, really worked for me and so many clients. And also think about ways that you can have them ready to go so that you can just add them to any meal during your day. If you start using these tips, I know that soon you'll be finding yourself eating a lot more vegetables and excited and happy that you did, and so will your body. So try these today and let me know how it goes. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you. If you found it really interesting, make sure you like the video so that it can reach other women just like you, and also subscribe to this channel for more content just like this, or ring the bell so that you get notifications every time I upload a new video, and I will see you on the next one. Be well.